Gonna have to get used to a new computer. Got a new computer today. I've got everything hooked up to it, so we're good there. I'm gonna have to get used to the fact that it's a little different than what I'm used to. It's a much better processor. It's a much better overall computer, but there's some stuff I'm gonna have to get used to. I'm gonna have to buy an external hard drive because these video files are large when I do these videos. So I'm gonna need to get a and I know you can back them up digitally. Yeah, it's fine. So what I'm going to talk about today is something a little different. So there's no hockey tonight, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to do a non-hockey related video tonight on the Entertainment Guy channel. You're welcome. I understand I'm still on the hockey set, working on it, little things here and there, right? Just one step at a time. And like I enjoyed my first meal in the kitchen, where the other set is last night. I think it was the first time. So, and we moved in March. I don't even know. I'm looking at my wrist. There's no watch on it. So the challenge I gave myself was simple. I said, okay, the WWE has way too many wrestlers, and it does. There's way too many, and the storylines are non-existent. They don't exist at all. So I gave myself a challenge. I said, okay, no belts. Book yourself an event where there's no belts, there's no championships on the line, but it's an event that you feel like if you were booking, you could make it so people would care. You could make it so people would maybe care about what was going on and utilize wrestlers that either aren't on TV at all or they're not on TV enough. And here's the biggest issue I had with booking this. I tried so hard to figure out a booking idea for tag teams that worked, and I couldn't think of one because they've got the tag division so completely messed up. I can't even come up with a way to make it seem like it's important. I mean, you could put Gallows and Anderson up against the Usos and maybe make people care about it, but in the end, they've been squashing Gallows and Anderson for so long, and they've been seen as kind of fodder for the other teams for so long that I don't know that that's going to work. That being said, let's take a look at these matches, and these are in the order in which I came up with them. So this is not the order of importance. And I'm going to start with the wrestler who, actually, the two wrestlers who the idea came from. So Nikki Cross has been doing some fantastic stuff on social media. Absolutely fantastic. Recommend her on Instagram. She's fantastic. Can't say it enough. Okay, and her YouTube channel, over 8,000 subscribers. She should have millions. Liv Morgan gets drafted out of the Riott squad over to SmackDown. She hasn't been seen on television since. And she's been creatively on Twitter and Instagram trying to not complain about where she's at, because if you complain, you get in trouble. So she can't openly complain, but she's kind of letting them know, hey, I'm here. So here's how you book this. Liv Morgan, the good girl, the nice blonde girl, nice pretty girl, she starts getting flowers. So you just have backstage segments where she's being interviewed by Kayla Braxton, whoever. They could even be interviewing her about how she hasn't been on TV in a while. All right? She's getting flowers. She's getting secret admirer stuff and this kind of thing. And it turns out it's from Nikki. Now, what we also find out is Nikki's not secretly admiring her. She's letting her know, you're really a pretty girl. I'm going to destroy that. These flowers are kind of my way of saying I'm sorry for what I'm about to do. So you could have the cards really nice and kind of creepy at the same time. You could play with this, and then again, let Nikki play. That's what she says, right? You could have a match where Liv Morgan is being terrified and basically stalked by Nikki Cross, who's just playing. She's just having fun and doesn't realize this poor little blonde girl is afraid for her life. Nikki comes across then as the crazy heel, but entertaining, and the fans would get into it. And then this way, fans can cheer for whoever they want. Doesn't really matter. You don't just have a good guy and a bad guy. And you can really get into some storylines here. You could have, like, Nikki get into the whole, I was picked on by girls like you when I was a kid, and Liv talking about how, hey, I didn't fit in with those popular girls when I was in school. I don't know what, like, you could have this whole getting into their background stuff, and you could mix real life and non-real life, and you could make it really, really interesting. But now we'll just leave them off TV. Next up is the most criminally underutilized wrestler in the company, Sami Zayn, versus a wrestler who I've seen live twice, and he is probably pound for pound the best wrestler they've got in Buddy Murphy. Buddy Murphy, forgotten on 205 Live, got drafted, and has been forgotten since he was drafted as well. All Sami Zayn has to do is come out and talk about how I am the most acrobatic, the best, absolutely amazing at all this. I'm better than everybody else, sort of like he's been doing lately. But instead of sending out Braun Strowman, you could send out Buddy Murphy, and you could have absolutely amazing matches between these two. You could make this a best 3 out of 5, a best 4 out of 7. You could do like back in the day, back in WCW. I didn't like WCW, but there was a best, I want to say it was 4 out of 7 between Booker T and Chris Benoit. And I was tuning in to Nitro every week just for that match. I would tune in just to see how the next chapter in that went. You could absolutely do that between Sami Zayn and Buddy Murphy. And you could build the feud up. And then at my pay-per-view, Shanamania or whatever you want to call it, Sami Zayn and Buddy Murphy have the big Game 7, the match number 7, to decide who ultimately wins. I think it would be absolutely fantastic. Next up, back to the women's division. And I'm going to go with 2 that are not being utilized very much at all. Ruby Riott's interesting. Ruby Riott has been kind of buried. She was squashed by Ronda Rousey a couple times. She just gets squashed. Now, her and Sarah Logan are the 2 remaining members of Riott Squad, right? All this match needs to be is Sarah Logan and Ruby Riott just casually talking about how Ruby says, well, I'm obviously the leader. We're the Riott Squad. And Sarah going, well, yeah, you're the leader. But in a match, I could probably take you. And that's it. You don't have to have big blood feuds. You don't have to have this stupidity that we see on wrestling so often now. You could just have these 2 in their first match ever against each other in WWE, just squaring off to see who truly is the best member of the Riott Squad. You could give this match 15 minutes. Have false finishes either way. And then, yes, at the end of the match, there's something that takes place that leads to this becoming a full-blown feud, and you've built both wrestlers up. Now, I think Logan would be the face of the 2, since Sarah Logan, whenever you see an interview with her, you know, when she's with her husband or when she's just talking in general outside the ring, she's really, really sweet. So's Nikki, but I think Sarah as a face, I think she could pull that off. She's very nice. She's very well spoken. Ruby is too, but Ruby has a certain look that she can totally be a heel, and fans can really hate her. And I understand Ruby's been a face before too, and that's fine. If you want to do it the other way around, fine. But give them a storyline. I don't know what's wrong with wrestling. They don't give storylines anymore. Now, next up are 2 guys that are on TV regularly, and I think they're being used completely wrong. And what's funny is, I'm well aware that Elias is in a feud with Roman Reigns, and I'm well aware that Kevin Owens is in a feud with Kofi Kingston. I do not believe that Kevin Owens will win the title. I do not take him seriously as a credible threat. The way this feud works is simple. Elias has to be the face. The fans want to get behind him. I'm not sure why they turned him heel again right away. And I understand Kevin Owens being a heel, but I don't understand the point of turning him face and turning him heel again right away. It's just stupid. So in this feud, I would envision Kevin Owens being the heel and going back to the monster heel he was in NXT, where he is destroying people. And he's basically doing the open challenge just without a belt. Who's next? Who's up? And you know, do almost like a reverse Goldberg thing where he's coming up the ring and waiting for another contender. And eventually, Elias answers him. And you can have like these 2 just brawl their way around the ring and come across as both being legit tough guys. And they are. They're big, tough guys. Again, I've seen these guys live. Kevin Owens, yes, he's overweight. And if that's the reason that he doesn't get ahead in this company, okay. And I understand he's had titles, but it's never really felt like he's been treated like he is a really strong champion. And I really think a feud between these 2, where Elias again is the Hulk Hogan of this. I think he could be that popular. I think Elias could be absolutely the most popular wrestler in the company if they allowed it. It just feels like they don't allow it. The fans try to get on his side and they go, okay, here you go. He's a good guy. Oh, pull the rug out from under you again. Stupid fans. Now, next up, this is related to something I'm seeing going on right now, which we've seen a million times. And I get it, and it works. So Lars Sullivan right now is being built up as this big monster, right? He's coming out and he's destroying people. why not have Rusev come out and stand up to him? Now, the only way this works is that Lars can't throw Rusev around. Rusev came into the company as monsterish, and he went on this huge winning streak, which John Cena put an end to, and then Roman Reigns was stomping him. And he's been a good sport about it. He's been a very good guy about it, and I've never heard him really openly complain. He's made some sarcastic posts on Twitter, which are fun. But I really think Rusev, and again, the fans want to get behind Rusev just like Elias, but for whatever reason, the company goes, oh, nah, that's that Rusev day. That's just stupid. So they won't get behind it. But I think a matchup between these two, and I don't really like matchups between, big guy and big guy. Usually those matches are boring. I think this could be great. I think this could be a match where they try to one-up one another, and you get more and more powerful. Lars Sullivan legitimately looks like a beast. And he comes across as one of the best badass wrestlers I've seen in a long time. And I knew right when I saw him in NXT, I thought he's not staying down here very long. And he didn't. And I think a feud between these two would be fantastic. And again, you could have them going back and forth, not 50-50 booking. I'm not talking about that. But just Lars comes out, Rusev beats him up, Rusev comes out, Lars beats, and just that kind of one-upping. Like, Lars last night put Rusev through a table, but tonight Rusev took the steps into the ring and powerbombed Lars onto the steps, and then nailed him with a chair. And you could go into this. You could have it end up with this TLC type match. Not TLC because there's no belt on the line. Remember, my pay-per-view doesn't have belts. Not only that, but it doesn't really need special stipulations. It doesn't need triple threat, 4 corners matches, and all this other garbage. It just, what happened to the days of just one guy against one guy and just they don't like each other or something like this, right? All right, next up, 2 guys who, in one case, he's not being utilized. Now, I realize that Shinsuke Nakamura isn't a tag team with Rusev. I don't take them seriously as a tag team for 2 seconds at all. It just feels like, well, neither of them have the U.S. title, so we'll just throw them together. Okay, it doesn't make any sense, but we'll do it because the fans are dumb. They'll just buy it. So, kind of the way that I read it anyways, because I was like, wait, why are they together? Because they didn't like R-Truth? That's stupid. And I never got over it. But I'm telling you, if you put Shinsuke Nakamura and Finn Balor in a battle for no title at all, so I'm not even talking about Finn Balor's Intercontinental title being involved. You put these 2 guys in the ring against one another and you give them, I'd say, 20 minutes, 25, you've got an absolutely amazing match. And you've got 2 guys who are very good at telling a story. And neither of them has to be a heel. This is something that the company understood decades ago. It somehow forgot it. I'm getting tired of, you'll see 2 guys getting ready to fight. Now, okay, so they're 2 good guys. Oh, of course, one of them has to be evil. Because that's how that has to work. It's like they don't learn from other situations. Like you look at mixed martial arts, right? You've got 2 guys going up against each other, and fans will decide. Do they pick one guy or pick the other? Wrestling can work the exact same way. You can have 2 guys who seem like generally nice guys who don't like each other. And so when they're in a room together, they end up fighting with each other. And you could have that with Shinsuke and Finn, where it's kind of like, I'm the best high-flying wrestler in the company. Nah, I'm the best in the company altogether. And you could have a great feud between the 2. But no, we'll give Finn a title and then we'll job him out and treat him like he's... Because, again, what I've noticed with WWE, and this has come back in over the last few years, if you're a smaller wrestler, you're treated like you're not really a serious threat. And I thought they learned from that back when Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels were the guys headlining for the company. When just being a bigger wrestler didn't necessarily mean you got to push to the title. It feels like now we're getting kind of back into that. And it's working its way in. The only way that a guy like Seth Rollins can get that spot is just the overall popularity is... Like Seth Rollins' popularity is huge. But it still feels like that the bigger guys, they get treated like they're more of a serious threat. So back to the women's division for a second here. There's 2 women that I think are underbooked. And I get it in the one case, I don't get it in the other. Mickie James is seen as a veteran of the locker room, so she, as a veteran of the locker room, doesn't get title shots. Fine. The problem is Mickie James is a very good wrestler. She is fun. She does some fun spots when she fights. Sonya Deville, she doesn't look like Mandy. The funny thing is, I've started noticing people online going, wait a minute. Why isn't Sonya as good looking as Mandy? And the answer is that yes, WWE seems to, at this point, have a fixation on the next blonde. And I think it's the Trish Stratus effect. I think they want the next Trish Stratus. So they look at Lacey Evans, they look at Mandy, and they say, all right, this could be the next big, Trish Stratus. And with Mandy, I can kind of understand it. But I don't see the personality with Mandy that was there with Trish from the start, where Trish was always personable and fun, and she could play the heel as well. Sonya Deville is fan-flipping-tastic. They had a Worlds Collide event on the network, which nobody saw, where she fought against Io Shirai. She won the match. It was a great match. And I thought it was nice to see Sonya win, and at the same time I thought, okay, so she won because Io Shirai's on NXT, and kind of sucks for Io Shirai at the same time because of the Japanese wrestlers they employ, I think Io Shirai is my favorite. That's including Asuka. I think Io Shirai has fantastic talent, and she has the ability to and with foreign wrestlers they always talk about the language barrier. I think Io Shirai is emotional enough in the ring that that's not even a thing. That's not even a problem. And I know Asuka's plenty emotional as well. It just feels like with Kairi Sane and Asuka that maybe Io Shirai is going to get it kind of lost in the shuffle. They're going to say we've already got 2 Japanese women on the main roster. Io will stay down in NXT for a while. But on this match, you've got basically Mandy's running partner, which I think is weird because she's, I think, the more talented wrestler. And Mickie James, who every now and then comes out so people can say, oh, right, she's still got a job. Right. Mickey's fine. It's just, it feels like it's a matter of her age is the only reason, which is weird because meanwhile we get Shane McMahon, who's older than me by a few years, who is taken seriously as a real threat to guys like Miz, goes in and wrestles The Undertaker at WrestleMania, and Mickie James, who's younger than Shane McMahon, is treated like she's good old veteran. Nice to see you. Thanks for coming out, Mickie. And Shane, who throws punches really weird. They're weird punches, and everybody sells like a champ for him. I don't get it. I am well aware of who Shane McMahon's related to, so you don't need to let me know in the comment section. The last match for this pay-per-view that I think sets the whole thing off, and this could be the main event of the night, because it's been the main event before in a company that people didn't pay much attention to at the time. So EC3 got called up to the roster, right? And EC3 has been treated like, badly. He's been treated like he can't talk all of a sudden, and he cuts really good promos. That's the part I don't understand. I could understand if he wasn't a great talker like a Bobby Lashley or a Brock Lesnar, but they didn't even give him a manager either. So it's not like with Lashley and Lesnar, they both got mouthpieces to try to make up for the fact they didn't talk very well. EC3's just standing there not talking. Now, you can have a match where it's the ego of EC3 and the pretentious pretty boy EC3 against Matt Hardy, who can embrace the delete again because he is without his brother. And I don't understand why. I can kind of understand why they went back to the Hardy Boys thing, but I think if WWE allowed them to go with Woken Matt and Brother Nero, I think you could do some really dynamite promos and some really fun stuff there. But I know that was kind of a TNA thing, and they don't want to give it too much airtime. But these two could knock the house down. This is a feud that I think could bring the house down. But you have to let these guys have the time to tell the story. And there you go. It's an 8-match pay-per-view. There's 16 wrestlers. There's no triple threats. There's no 4 corners matches. I didn't have any special stipulations. There's no ladder matches with 8 people in them. And all of these wrestlers, I feel, are underutilized, with the exception of Lars Sullivan, who right now is kind of just beating up our truth every week. And Owens and Elias, you could make the argument, aren't being underutilized. But I think that the way they're being used is kind of, I don't think it's taken them very far. So I think both Elias and Kevin Owens could be champ, especially Elias. I think he could absolutely be the king of the mountain. He could be the top guy. They just have to let that happen. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And hey, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.